Begin our look at sports out at the big ballpark in the Bronx, where the Yankees sizzled this week after falling in the first 2 of 3 last weekend at Boston. The Bronx Bombers captured the final game of that series Sunday at home and then reeled off 3 straight against first-place Baltimore to improve to 2 games over 500, heading into Thursday's series finale with the O's. The Pinstripers battled early and trailed 2-1, but Baltimore ace Chris Tillman regrouped en route to his MLB best 14th win of the season in a 4-1 final. Despite the loss, the Yanks were still up in the locker room after winning 4 of their last 5.
Positive. I mean, it would have been great to take 4 out of 4, but we know that taking 3 out of 4 was important for us, especially the team that is in our division.
4 is, against the first place team, against a team that we're trying to fight in the standings is a good series. We're not going to go undefeated the rest of the season, but we need to win series. We won this series. We'll try to win this weekend.
San Francisco is it's playing a good baseball overall. It's going to be another tough series. We just need to, take it 1 game at a time.
The real test will come this weekend when the 48-47 club faces a trio of aces with the San Francisco Giants coming to town. The Yankees will face Madison Bumgarner, Jeff Samardzija, and Johnny Cueto, respectively. The Yanks will counter with Masahiro Tanaka, Ivan Nova, and Nate Eovaldi. Yanks are 5.5 out of the wild card and 7 back of the division-leading O's. Meanwhile, the Amazons are 3-3 since returning from the All-Star break, including dropping 2 of 3 in Chicago. The Mets had the off day Thursday and will open a series in Miami tonight, where they are chasing the Marlins for the wild card. The Mets are 1.5 back of Miami and currently sit in 3rd place in the National League East. Back in the Bronx this past weekend, the Hoops in the Sun Roundball Classic celebrated its Midsummer Classic. It's our BX Sports Story of the Week. Check this out.
5, 4, 3, 2, for the game, Miami!
Guys win the All-Star game today against the Hits All-Stars, and you're the hero. Talk about that 3-pointer at the end, right at the buzzer.
I just knew Jamaica was going to draw a lot of attention, and he's a great player, so he made the right pass. So I just had to step up and make the shot.
Did you get a chance to look at the scoreboard? You see A.J. West. He gives the Hits All-Stars the lead. What was that thing that was going through your mind there at that final second?
They went up, but we can't dwell on it. We got to run right back at them. Try to get a basket as quick as we can. Worked out.
What did you think of the game itself? I mean, obviously, game winner there at the end.
Wow, the game was good. The game was really good. The way that they ended the game was amazing. Happy to hit the corner shot. The game was up and down. Both teams leads and changes. It was a great game.
It was great. I thought it was what the Bronx is about. Of course, I thought the celebrity game, the youth, the chance to look into the future, always a good showcase, a good stage, and the people were out in full force. So I'm just more happy for them than anything.
It's a great experience. I'm very humble. Joe Cruz, one of my friends, actually one of my mentors, asked me to come up here and do the All-Star Weekend with them, from my high school kids up until the Unlimited. It was an honor just coming up here and experiencing this whole thing, and actually getting a win puts the icing on the cake.
How proud do you think your father would be knowing that you guys have been able to carry on the tradition and then also really put out the same product, if not better, year after year?
Well, I think that he'll be proud of the fact that we were able to really establish ourselves as young entrepreneurs, with my brother and I just taking over the helm. This day is my biggest day in the schedule, so I look forward to this day no matter what, and just want to make sure that his legacy lives on through us.
Hits continues this weekend at Orchard Beach. Playoffs are in early August. Where does the summer go? Time for some quick hitters from around the world of sports. Former NFL star Ray Rice, who played in the celebrity game at Orchard Beach last weekend, says he donated his entire 2016 salary to programs aimed at preventing domestic violence. If signed by an NFL team, Rice hasn't played since 2013 following a domestic violence dispute with his wife. Knicks fans had to be happy to hear that their new acquisitions were working out together recently, but for those that were dialed into the NBA Summer League Championship game, there must have been some feeling watching Jaren Grant being named MVP of the title game. Grant was dealt away in the Derrick Rose deal. He looked impressive in the Summer League. The Brooklyn Nets introduced their new faces this weekend, and that included former Knick Jeremy Lin, who gets reunited with coach Kenny Atkinson in the BK. Lin said he's okay being a role model, but doesn't want to be labeled a phenomenon. His cornrows were also hit at the press conference. The Nets are hoping the new look Lin will be exactly what they are looking for this season. On the ice, the New York Islanders may be looking for a new home at the Barclays Center. Can't make the arena any better for hockey. The Isles are in talks with the owners of baseball's New York Mets about building an arena adjacent to Citi Field. Former New York Ranger Brad Richards is retiring after 15 seasons in the league and 2 Stanley Cup championships. Richards enjoyed a very good career and was part of the Rangers' last Stanley Cup run, albeit falling just short in the Big Apple. He won a cup with Tampa Bay and Chicago. UFC 200 shaped up to be a disaster. First, John Jones was held out for alleged doping. Then Brock Lesnar made a comeback from WWE and won, only for fans to find out that he too appears to have failed a drug test. Brock defeated Mark Hunt and pocketed a record $2.5 million after his victory. The UFC is hoping for better returns Saturday night in UFC Fight Night in Chicago. 4 months after losing her title to Miesha Tate, Holly Holm will face Valentina Shevchenko. Holmes says she has found motivation in defeat. From the baseball diamond, Steven Strasburg finally took a defeat this week, falling to the LA Dodgers. He's now 13-1 on the season. The Nets haven't been able to solve LA, who topped Washington in 5 of their last 6 meetings. Former Yankee and hit king Ichiro is 4 hits shy of 3,000 for his MLB career. When you pair his stats from Japan along with his career in the bigs, you can make a serious case for Ichiro as the greatest hitter in baseball history. Those 4 hits could come this weekend against the New York Mets. Without any movement by state legislators in North Carolina to change newly enacted laws targeted at the LGBT community, the NBA on Thursday decided to pull the 2017 All-Star Game out of Charlotte. Now, New Orleans, New York, and Chicago are among the other options for the association. The WNBA has fined the New York Liberty, the Indiana Fever, and the Phoenix Mercury for wearing black warm-up shirts in the wake of recent shootings by and against police officers. And from the NFL gridiron, still no Ryan Fitzpatrick deal in Jets land. Training camp is quickly approaching, and the Jets appear ready to start the season with Geno Smith under center. In college football, if you were a betting man, the Michigan Wolverines would probably be the way to go. At least that's the consensus among those in Las Vegas. More bets have been placed on Michigan to win the college football national title than any other team. In auto racing, Dale Earnhardt Jr. will miss 2 races with concussion-type symptoms, but have no fear, race fans. Legend Jeff Gordon is coming out of retirement to take his place for those 2 races. Pretty cool. And speaking of cool, Mets legend Mike Piazza will take his place among the best of the best in Cooperstown this weekend, and our BronxNet cameras will hit the road to cover it all for Sports NYC and Open. The Road Show will be in Cooperstown Sunday for the Hall of Fame inductions, where Piazza and Ken Griffey Jr. will be enshrined. Those are the headlines. We hit the C-list to pay respect to a Hall of Fame of a man. This is going to be a difficult C-list for me. As you know, this space is usually reserved for commentary about sports and typically for the greats of the game. I initially wanted to highlight NBA great Tim Duncan last week on the program, but with the Red Bulls slaps on tap later this month, we got a chance to showcase handball star Timbo Gonzalez. This week would have been a toss-up between some pen words about the legacy of Duncan or perhaps my thoughts on Mike Piazza. But then came the sudden news that my friend and longtime colleague Howard Golden had passed away. I can't think of a better way to pay respect to a great man who had a sporting life than to remember him here, even in the same breath as sports legends like Tim Duncan, Mike Piazza, or even the local heroes of today and tomorrow like Timbo Gonzalez. Howard was and is a Hall of Fame of a man. A local journalist who captured local and national stories for publications like the Bronx News and LatinoSports.com. He suffered a heart attack last week at 72. And died suddenly, but his legacy in my book is very much like Tim Duncan's in the NBA. Howard was ever consistent and perhaps overlooked for his talents because he wasn't flashy. He was just great every single day. I had the honor of being his editor, but it was the best job in the world because his stories never needed editing. He became as much a co-host of Sports NYC as any, and he made trips to our studio often. Howard was the Bronx sports historian, an amazing author and college professor and librarian who shaped so many lives through the power of the pen. But it wasn't just his lessons in the classroom or through written word. It was the way he conducted himself day to day. He would be the first to ask you how you were doing or shoot you that email, to wish you a happy holiday. Genuine in a society today that is far too often anything but authentic and sincere. He would often say how much a pleasure it was to cover baseball as a writer, to do something he loved. I think the real pleasure for the press box was having Howard Golden be a part of it. Yankee press box legend Bill the Baker Steinbrenner, who passed away in 2014, Howard and the late great George Steinbrenner would often pal around back at the old stadium. That was always so cool to see. For me, Howard made going to the ballpark a real-life field of dreams. My hope is now that he gets to have his own in heaven. I'd like to think he, Bill the Baker, and George are still palling around watching over the Yankees. Thanks for the memories, Howard. I'll miss you, man. That's your sports. I'm Bobby Z.